Texts 8 and 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Asam Muvurte Ekamsam, Ekasmin Nanagareshu Yoshitam Sa Vidham Jagre Panin Anurupa Swa Mayaya Asam Muhurte Ekasmin. Oh, okay. Oh, so should I do 9? All right. They have 9 on the board, so we'll do 9. Tasu Apatyani Ajanayat Atma Tuyani Sarvata Eka Ekasyam Dasa Dasa Prakrite Vibhubhusaya Tasvapatyanajanayad Atmatuyani Sarvata Ekaikasyam Dasha Dasha Prakritir Vibhubhusaya Tasvapatyanajanayad Atmatuyam Sarvata Ekaikasyam Dasha Dasha Prakritir Vibhubhusaya Sarvata Dasyam dasa dasa prakrite vibhubhushaya. Ladies, tasu unto them apatyani offspring ajanayat begot atmatuyani all like himself sarvataha in all respects eka ekasyam in each and every one of them dasha 10 dasha 10 prakrite for expanding himself vibhubhushaya so desiring. Translation: just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offspring with exactly his own qualities. Please repeat. Just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offspring with exactly his own qualities. So this verse is read with the previous verses, and I'll just read the translation of those verses to give the context. Text 7, translation. There in the house of the demon, all the princesses kidnapped by Narakasura at once became alert upon seeing the Lord, the friend of the distressed. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and offered to be his wives. Text 8. All those princesses were lodged in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions, exactly matching each and every princess. He accepted their hands in perfect rituals by his internal potency. And then text 9, just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offspring with exactly his own qualities. So this pastime is explained in detail in the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and I'll read from there so you can get the real sense of what took place. Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 59, the killing of the demon Naraka. This chapter tells how Lord Krishna killed Naraka, the son of the earth goddess, and married the thousands of maidens the demon had kidnapped. And so now we come to the point. Text 32. Shukadeva Goswami said, "Thus entreated by Goddess Bhumi in words of humble devotion, the Supreme Lord bestowed fearlessness upon her grandson and then entered Bhaumasura's palace, which was filled with all manner of riches." 33. There Lord Krishna saw 16,000 royal maidens, whom Bhoma had taken by force from various kings. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami provides evidence from the sage Parasara, as quoted in the Vishnu Purana, to the effect that there were actually 16,100 royal maidens imprisoned in Bhoma's palace. Quote, "Within the maidens' quarters, O wise one, the Lord of unequaled prowess found 16,100 princesses." Another relevant verse from the Vishnu Purana, 5:29-9, is as follows. The demon, Bhaumasura, kidnapped the unmarried daughters of demigods, siddhas, asuras, and kings, O Janardana, and imprisoned them in his palace. 34. The women became enchanted when they saw that most exalted of males enter. In their minds they each accepted him, who had been brought there by destiny, as their chosen husband. 35. With the thought, may Providence grant that this man become my husband, each and every princess absorbed her heart in contemplation of Krishna. 36. The Lord had the princesses arrayed in clean, spotless garments, and then sent them in palanquins to Dwarka, together with great treasures of chariots, horses, and other valuables. So Srila Prabhupada had a disciple who asked him, does Krishna have only 16,100 wives? And Srila Prabhupada replied, you also want to become Krishna's wife? You can pray like that. So, yes, Krishna is wonderful, and he can fulfill all desires. Whatever desire we have for loving relationships in the material world can be fully satisfied by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so we should endeavor by all means to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. And the method by which we do so is Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami enumerates 64 items of devotional service. And he says that out of the 64, 5 are most potent, and even a slight association with any one of the 5 can awaken dormant love for Krishna. What are the 5? Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vasa, and Murti Shradanvita Sevana. Sadhu Sangha, in a general sense, means association with devotees. But Srila Rupa Goswami gives a very specific definition of Sadhu Sangha. Swajati ashaye snigde sadhu sangha swato vare. Swajatiya in a literal sense means in the same caste or community. And in our case it would mean a follower of Srila Prabhupada. Swajati ashaye snigde, and snigde means the sadhu should be affectionate to you. Sadhu Sangha Satovare, and Satovare means the sadhu should be more advanced than you are. So that's the actual definition of Sadhu Sangha. So Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana, chanting the holy names of Krishna. Bhagavat Shravana, hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam. Mathura Vasa, residing in Mathura. And Murti Shradanvita Sevana, serving the deity with faith and veneration. Once I was with His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj in Mauritius, and after a program we did together there, somehow I mentioned these 5 items, and when I came to Mathura Vasa, residing in Mathura, he looked me in the eyes and said, Kamsa also resided in Mathura. But otherwise, residing in Mathura in a devotional mood is very potent. And the same could apply to residing in Mayapur. These holy dhams are filled with spiritual potency, and by residing in them, our consciousness is elevated, and we can more easily and more quickly develop our loving relationship with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada worked hard first to get the land here. Actually, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was instrumental in getting the land here, finally, and when he did, Srila Prabhupada was in Calcutta and he was very pleased to receive the news. And of course, Srila Prabhupada had a great vision for Mayapur, which included the Temple of Vedic Planetarium and a whole Vedic city. And we can see that Mayapur is developing along the lines that Srila Prabhupada wanted. But it's very important that when people come here, they receive the message of pure devotional service. Because people can come with different conceptions, different motives, but we want them to come to pure devotional service, which is defined by Srila Rupa Goswami. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmari anavritam anukulyena Krishna anusilanam bhakti-uttama. So anya vilasita sunyam means without any other desire. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur analyzes Rupa Goswami's use of the suffix ita. Otherwise, Rupa Goswami could have simply said Anya Vilas Sunyam without any other desire. But the ita means, the significance of the ita is that under ordinary circumstances, one has no other desire. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the example that if you're being attacked by someone with deadly weapons, you may pray for protection. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Astasaki Ki Jai. You may pray for protection. So ordinarily, we wouldn't pray for protection in the course of devotional service, but in some extraordinary circumstance we may. And that ita indicates that to do so does not violate the principle of pure devotional service. So anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anamritam. And pure devotional service is not covered by jnana, say mental speculation, or karma, fruitive activities. So anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmari anamritam anukulyena. So anukul means favorable. So our attitude towards Krishna should be favorable, and our service should be favorable to Krishna's pleasure. In the early days of ISKCON in New York City, there was a real estate agent named Mr. Payne, who tried to cheat the devotees. And one day, Mr. Payne phoned Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said, "Oh, Mr. Payne, I was just thinking of you. So after the phone call, the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, is that true that you were thinking of Mr. Payne? And Srila Prabhupada said, yes. Just like Krishna was thinking of Kamsa. So, yeah. So, Anyavilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena. Anu has two meanings. One is always, and the other is to follow. Like we follow Rupa Goswami, so we are Rupa Anugas. So pure devotional service means that it is performed continuously, Anu, and also following the great authorities, that is also Anu. So, Anyavilasita sunyam dhyana karmade anavritam anukulyena Krishna, so to Krishna. And in the Nectar of Devotion, which is Srila Prabhupada's summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he explains that Krishna means Krishna, his names, his forms, his qualities, his pastimes, and his expansions. So it says Krishna, but that Krishna is not limited. So anukulyena Krishna anushilanam, anu, continuous cultivation, bhakti uttamam, that is pure devotional service. So in our own lives, we should endeavor to engage in pure devotional service. And when people come to visit the temple, we should also give them the message of pure devotional service so that they can actually make a spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, they may come with other motives. When people put money in the box, sometimes they desire to get some material benefit in return. And it's good, at least. They're offering some service to Krishna. But better is if they understand what is pure devotional service and move in the direction of engaging in pure devotional service. And then their visit to Mayapur, to the temple, then their association with the devotees here will give them the greatest benefit. So, yes, along with all the wonderful developments here, we also should preach very strongly and purely. Once I was preaching in Madras, and even friends and supporters were advising me, don't criticize others. Just say what you want in a positive way about your philosophy and your activities, but don't criticize others. And so many people were telling me the same thing. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong. Maybe I should change. So I had an appointment with an industrialist. He had a big compound, And in his compound, he had his office, his factory, and his home. So I was determined to avoid criticizing and to avoid entering into any controversy. So I presented our philosophy. I showed him the books. Srila Prabhupada said, if you just put the books on a man's table, he'll be attracted by the books and he'll become a life member. So I put out the books. And then he said, what about Shankaracharya? You haven't said anything about Shankaracharya. So I said, yes, he's also one of the great acharyas of India. Well, what about him? You haven't said anything about him. So eventually it all came out. We didn't have Chaitanya Charitamrita, but we had the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And I explained that Shankaracharya was actually an incarnation of Lord Shiva who came to mislead people with the Mayavad philosophy, and I came out with the whole story. And I figured, that would be the end of it. So I put the books back in my briefcase and I took back the life membership form, and I thought, well, that's the end of it. Then the man said, I want you to come and see my temple room. So I thought, he's going to have a Shiva Linga, and if I don't offer obeisances, he's going to feel offended. So I looked at him, do I really have to? And he looked at me, yes, you do. So I went into his house, and his temple room was quite big for a home temple, with white marble. And on the platform where the deities stood, I saw Radha and Krishna. And I was so happy to see them because in Madras, almost all the Vaishnava temples were Vishnu. And then there was the one Parthasarathi by the beach, but that was Krishna alone. So I looked at him like, what's going on? And he said, me and my entire family for many generations have been devotees of Krishna. And I was just testing you. And you did not compromise. So I'm very pleased. And I will be happy to become your life member. So then we went back to his office and filled out the form, gave the check, and became a life member. So I thought, well, maybe what I was doing wasn't wrong, but I wasn't completely sure. But when I got back to the place where I was staying, there was a letter from Srila Prabhupada, and these words practically jumped off the page. And he wrote me, my Guru Maharaj never compromised in his preaching. And similarly, I shall never compromise in my preaching. And similarly, none of my disciples should compromise in their preaching. We must declare it boldly that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all others are his part and parcel servants. And people should not vainly dream of world peace unless they are prepared to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I got my answer from Srila Prabhupada, and that's been my motto. It should be the motto of all followers of Srila Prabhupada, that we don't compromise in our preaching, but we state boldly that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all others are his part and parcel servants. And unless they accept Krishna as such, there can be no peace individually or collectively. Hare Krishna. So, my dear devotees, thank you for listening so patiently and attentively. And now, if any of you have any questions or comments, you can raise your hand. Yes, there's a couple of hands.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Very beautiful. To hear from you, I can feel Srila Prabhupada's presence from your words. Thank you.
Wonderful, beautiful.
I feel, as you know, Kali Yuga is progressing very quick, even in our holy Dham. And how can we be strong in our preaching? By example. For example, I feel we should give only prasadam to our visitors. But in the holy Dham we find, Sprite, Fanta, chocolates, ice cream, and I feel that is a heavy compromising, right? How can we inspire our visitors to have pure devotional service? And by eating this kind of boga, can you please elaborate on this? I have very big doubts in my heart. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your concern, and I think of Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when some Britishers were coming to Mayapur. He was prepared even to give them meat. So sometimes we offer things, of course, Sprite and Fanta are not as bad as meat, but sometimes we do offer things just to sort of appeal to people who come so they feel comfortable. So it's, it might not be the best, but it could be worse also. So I think it's not so bad. There's a hand up at the back. Maybe somebody wants to comment on this point? Oh, a different question.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. You spoke about pure devotional service. Oftentimes, we see new devotees. When they come, they're very enthusiastic, very surrendered, very dedicated. And as we get older, there's more opportunity for leisure or for taking things easy. So, how to stay in that mood of anyabhilashita shunya, even when we become older physically and in our years of devotional service, because the opportunity to subtly or grossly digress from anyabhilashita shunya becomes more and more. So how to stay focused on that resolve, which is oftentimes forced when we are a new devotee, but later on it seems to be more optional whether we attend programs, whether we actually dedicate ourselves in the same way.
Srila Prabhupada said 90% of Krishna consciousness is association. So by associating with sincere, serious, advanced devotees, we can keep up our determination and yeah, I think that's the best encouragement to persevere in pure devotional service is the association of pure devotees by Rupa Goswami's definition. So, thank you. Good question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, quoting Maharaj from Puranas, it is understood that human beings will be directed to either hell or heaven basing on their characters on the earth. In hell suffer with so many severe punishments as per the Garuda Purana. If it is real, the punishment for human whom soul or body, because once a man dies means the body will be cremated or buried here only. Only the Atma only left over. So if the Atma goes to the hell, says, Nainam Chindanti Sasrani, Nainam Dahati Pavaka, then where is the punishment to the witch? Whom the punishment will be awarded, Maharaj?
Did you catch that? Somehow it's hard to understand. You got it? Okay.
I think Prabhu is saying that when one dies, so the material body is cremated, but the soul is still existing. So in Shastra it says that after death one has to suffer, hellish things if they've lived.
After death?
They have to suffer hellish, punishments. A sinful person has to suffer hellish punishments. So then if the material body is already destroyed and the soul is only what's left, what is it that suffers?
Well, the soul leaves the body, but it gets another body, unless it's liberated, but the soul will get another body, and in the next body the soul will suffer the punishment that's due to him for his sinful activities. So, I'm going to have to take a break for about 5 minutes. I'll come right back. So in the meantime, yeah, you can chant Hare Krishna, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. There's some amazing books that Giriraj Swami's written, and as we know from his class, there will be a lot of very powerful realizations that Srila Prabhupada has imparted to him. This book is very powerful for me because there's the story of my Sankirtan partner for 18 years departure, and it's just filled with miracles. We've all got to face this at some point. Don't think it's not going to happen to you. One thing that Prabhupada said. This book, let's see, the Dancing White Elephants. This is one I haven't read yet, so we're the dancing white elephants here. And this is Giriraj Swami traveling with Srila Prabhupada in the early days of ISKCON India. And I'll build you a temple. Just amazing what took place, the miracles. and how this Krishna killed this big demon, Mr. Nair. You know, and Prabhupada was so glad to see him go because he was trying to steal all the property, all this nonsense he was doing. And so these books are available. Mataji is taking some taka for them, and but you'll be amazed. You'll just feel so much ecstasy participating in these by reading these pastimes. So this is also a very, very powerful book. So just check it out. You know, it's just so much of Prabhupada's mercy flowing, and you'll be amazed by it. So this one I'm getting. I've got all the other ones, and many moons. This is reflection on departed Vaishnavas. There's Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Sridhar Swami, Gaur Govinda Swami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. These are the ones I had a lot of association with over the years. But I've got to actually reread this one, you know, because it's been a while since I've had the opportunity. And then, okay, I think I've spoken about all of them, and so don't rush up here. You know, wait till everything's over, and then have your taka ready to go. All right, thank you. Hare Krishna. One other point is that Maharaj will sign any books that devotees would like to have. That's a special blessing.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki.
Are there any more questions or comments? Yes? You need to pass the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. You touched the theme of not compromising, and sometimes I would like to, if you could elaborate on this a little bit, because what I see often is that the devotees don't want to compromise on certain rules or certain things, but the result of that is that the preaching becomes a little stagnant or doesn't progress because we have to abide by these things. And, you know, knowing you that you were so close to Srila Prabhupada, you know, what I've seen with him, he was so expert at, I wouldn't like to use the word compromising, but really accommodating and being inclusive so that people...
Good question. Yes, we want to attract people to Krishna consciousness, and we don't want to put them off. So we may not tell them everything in the beginning because it might be too much for them to deal with. So it's not compromising, but it's being intelligent what to say to a particular person or a particular group so that they'll be attracted and they won't be driven away. Once I was visiting a disciple of Indian origin, but in America, and her mother was visiting from India, and the mother was very pious, but at a certain point, the mother started to speak Mayavad philosophy. And I knew that if I got into an argument with her, it would spoil the mood. She wouldn't like it, her daughter wouldn't like it, her son-in-law wouldn't like it. But at the same time, I couldn't just let it go. So I thought, let me give her Srila Prabhupada's book. That way, I don't have to call her a fool and rascal. Srila Prabhupada will call her a fool and rascal. So sometimes that's a better approach, you know, speak in a way that pleases people and attracts them, and then give them Srila Prabhupada's book so they get the full message. Yes, there's two over here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your association. On your previous program, you mentioned that you went back to Mumbai, to Bombay, to continue your service with life members. And my question is, what does it mean actually to take care about such people in the long term? Thank you.
Yes, well, the first point with the life members is that we promise them certain things. Srila Prabhupada's books, a lifetime subscription to Back to Godhead magazine, and a free stay for 3 days in our temples and guest houses. So we should keep our promises. As I mentioned, if we keep our promises, then our life members themselves will make other life members. But if we don't keep our promises, then even if we try to make someone a life member, he might not agree because he's heard that we don't keep our promises. So, yeah, I would visit them, I would give them prasad. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada actually said that making someone a life member is next best to making someone a devotee. So, yeah, in all our relationships, we should be very genuine and care for the person, care about the person with whom we're dealing. And they'll sense that genuine care, and they'll respond favorably. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, here in the verse translation 338, here it is said that Krishna, he assumed different bodily expansions exactly matching each and every princesses. He's matching. So this I didn't understand, Maharaj. Like, how is Krishna matching the preference of someone? Isn't it the other way around? We should match Krishna's preference, and Krishna is perfect. So how is it that the Krishna is absolute? He's perfect. No, why should he match with someone's preference, or like?
Well, that was Krishna's mercy, that he expanded himself in such a way as to please all the princesses. That's his kindness. But yes, from our side, we should try to match our mood with Krishna's mood. That's very true. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, sorry for my bad thing, but I want, thank you so much for sharing and your experiences, how to not compromise in our preaching. And you shared about the practice of pure devotional service. So I wanted to, I have this doubt actually, if you please help me, that sometimes in this definition it is there that we should not have any desire. But when we approach Lord, when we approach deities, when we ask, oh no, please, you should not desire anything. And then, but it is there, so it is said now that we should, bhakti should not be external something. So this verse is a practice or a state, this should be practice or it is a state of pure devotees. I want something for my in a practicing stage. If you can guide me, Maharaj.
Well, you have other desires. And you want to fulfill them through devotional service? Or you just have them and you want to fulfill them?
But I have desires, Maharaj, but I am not able to get rid out of it. It's like that.
Well, then tolerate. Yeah, you have desires and tolerate. Yes, when I was with Srila Prabhupada in Gorakhpur, he asked me if I ever thought of getting married. And I said no, except when I see that all the GBCs are married. 'Cause I thought they were like special category. I said no, except when I see that all the GBCs are married. Srila Prabhupada said, you will never be GBC. And then he said that the demands of the body, sex desire and others as well, are like an itch. And if you scratch the itch, initially you might get some relief, but then the itch comes back more. So he said it's better to tolerate, and then gradually the itch will subside. So, yeah, just tolerate, take shelter of Krishna, of the holy name, of the philosophy, of advanced devotees, and you'll be successful. yeah, and then Prabhupada said, so you remain brahmachari, and after some time I'll give you sannyas. So that was gave, in a short period of time, he gave me a lot of instructions that determined my future course in Krishna consciousness. Yes? Get microphone over here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Speaking on not compromising, I have heard, some devotees strongly speaking that only Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we should not compromise. Not talking about Mayavad philosophy, but even other expansions of Krishna. When you you have to make it clear that only Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and everyone else is subordinate to Krishna. And on the other side, we understand that it is Krishna himself in different forms.
Yes.
So what should be our stand? Is that also correct when someone strongly preaches that no, you cannot compromise, you should establish only Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Is that also right? What should be our stand?
Oh, any expansion of Krishna is Krishna, and some devotees may be inclined to worship Lord Ram, the Lord Nrsimhadev, and that's fine. Lord Chaitanya had some devotees who were inclined to worship Lord Ram, and he encouraged them. He didn't discourage them and say you should worship only Krishna. So yeah, any form of Krishna, any expansion of Krishna is fine. It's good that they're approaching Krishna in whatever form, so we encourage them.
So there's no need to say that this is the highest?
Well, if the audience is open to hearing it, we can say it, but if they're attached to another form of Krishna, and if we insist on Krishna, they might get discouraged, then we shouldn't insist on Krishna.
And that would not be considered as compromising, right?
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a hand up at the back. Oh, there's another hand. All right, do this one here, and then there's one at the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Maharaj, I have a very close friend. He's Anglo-Indian. He practices Catholic very seriously. And because I always feel that he's missing something, our philosophy and what we enjoy in Krishna consciousness, but they don't believe that incarnations. So how do we make them understand that, there is incarnations, whatever we do, the actions, got karma, everything. But anyway, he understood a little bit. But my question is, and his father, when he was saying rosaries, because I go with him church, and I used to do that before, and when he was saying rosary, he puts head off and got heart attack and he left the body. So, because we say that, while chanting, if we leave the body, we go to Krishna and Golaka and all that. In that case, my uncle, my friend's dad, when he left the body, when he's saying rosary, we think that he would have gone to Jesus paradise or whatever it is? How do we understand that thing from Maharaj?
You're saying you love to, you're talking about a case where the person leaves his body thinking of Jesus?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry to ask you, but practically I see that.
Then he'll go to Jesus.
So, okay, so, I mean, we go to Vaikunta, there's no exit, one way. Whereas when we go to Jesus' place where it is, will there be any exit? Come back and come and I take a human body of Vaishnavas and then have to come back to Goloka? Is any shortcut or?
Well, he can go to Jesus and then you can make further progress.
Yeah.
And then eventually go to Krishna.
So there is no compromise, not shortcut. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hi Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful Bhagavatam class. The question is, when we do preaching online, like mass preaching, so if I'm doing one-to-one preaching, I know what to say to the person, like how much information should I be giving to that person. But when we are doing mass preaching, then how to deal with that? Because some of the people who are favorable to Krishna consciousness will come to the movement, will like the process also. But some will get lost in the process or may not like the process. So how to deal with that? How much information should we give on the mass platform?
So this is general audience. Well, give enough. Maybe not too much, and you can, I suppose you could ask people who are more interested to contact you personally, and then depending on their receptivity and eligibility, you can give them more information and take them as far as they can go. Nice, good. So way at the back there.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your class. I perhaps missed some of it, so please forgive me for that. But when you say that we should not compromise on the philosophy or the principles, that point is well taken. But if we are accused of being fanatical...
If what?
If we are accused of being fanatical...
Oh, accused of being fanatical.
Then how do we explain that we are simply sticking to the words of Srila Prabhupada and not being fanatical?
And why would you be accused of being fanatical?
Because we make people uncomfortable by taking a strong, uncompromising stance.
Taking a strong, uncompromising stance on what point?
On the point of Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
Well, I mean, we're not fanatical. I mean, we're flexible, but we don't compromise on certain principles. And if people don't like some of the principles, we can't help that, but we can't compromise on the basic principles. But we can be flexible and give people some scope to express their individual way of engaging in devotional service. Yeah. And also encourage them in their particular desire to serve in their particular way. Does that address your concern?
Yeah, to some extent. Thank you for that. Could you go on to please explain the difference between a principle and a detail?
I'm reminded, Shruti Kirti Prabhu said to Srila Prabhupada that, we have faith in you, that you have adjusted some of the details, but have not compromised on any of the principles. So he asked Srila Prabhupada, how do we distinguish between a principle and a detail? And Srila Prabhupada replied, that requires a little intelligence.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you again for listening so patiently and attentively, asking such intelligent questions, and I wish you all the best. Hare Krishna. All glories. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.